Yeah, keep it up, man.
All right, if you guys want to come this way, and I'll set it right over there.
I think we looked at all of them along the river.
How's that for you guys?
Yeah, I didn't have enough hands for my nap.
How is it?
Yep, it's good.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Just squeeze it.
It's okay.
You got it?
No.
How's it going down in Texas?
You're outside.
We are outside. It's beautiful today. It's about 62 degrees.
I know those chairs. I know that patio.
Turn up the sound.
Or you know, if you have a nice little box, we can lift
Vacation
the
with?
I definitely hear you guys.
Do what?
I see Michael's joined. I just see a very small part of his head, though. Welcome. There you are.
Please be up a little. Like how
Turn it
much?
up a
Do you
little
have a
more.
book?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a book or a little box.
So we're just going to give a few minutes, make sure everyone gets online. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy
Happy Valentine's Day.
Now it's starting to get chilly. The wind suddenly started blowing. Now it's going to be cold on me. We're Oregonians. We're a tough breed,
Oh, there
no
you go.
doubt.
Perfect.
Minnesota.
That work?
See how tough
Starting in Minnesota was
Okay.
the definite part.
Okay, guys.
What's else?
we're by the bottles right here.
Okay.
Here, I'll wait.
Oh, there you go.
Bottles. Here.
Okay, so I'm just going to mute it.
Yeah, I'll let them know once they get going. Just give another couple minutes just to be sure. So we're gonna have a small group today, guys. Feel free to dive in, comment, talk, whatever. I want it to be interactive, like you guys are here. So don't be shy to jump in. I'll make sure to stop talking when you do. I should turn my light on. Give myself a good look here. I don't know if it's gonna help.
So I noticed the vineyard, the crew has done quite an amazing job.
Yeah.
Grenell's block is already, shoot positioning is done. And
Yeah. Jacques was just mentioning, looking at the vineyard, that it's pretty well done, ready for starting off the season. We've had some really dry weather the last month and a half, I would guess. So we actually were able to get our tractor into the vineyard. We flailed all the canes, which means kind of chopping them up and getting ready to grow. So we've had it. We actually had one less guy over the winter, and the three that are left have just killed it and are doing a great job. So it's been really great. Well, I'm going to start off. Again, guys, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Happy Valentine's Day. We're excited to be doing this again and having you guys join us. So I would say maybe, like, if you guys aren't saying anything, maybe mute, just in case, so you guys, especially those Texans, can like whoop it up all they want.
Yeah.
We're 2 hours ahead. We've been drinking for a while.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me. I don't know why that doesn't surprise me.
You know that a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, so we wanted to do this. It was Valentine's Day, trying to figure out what are we going to do, and we basically decided on this. Actually, how it came is John Cabe, who will come by, who's kind of assumed the role of Jacques. We actually have two people to fill in for what Jacques used to do. So that's Jacques worth two people for sure. So John was visiting a place in Portland who kind of really follows a lot of our mindset of what we do here at Coeur d'Terre, a family-owned, very farm-driven chocolate place called Creo Chocolates. Honestly, I have never been a wine and chocolate guy. I've always been, and Jock probably remembers that wine and chocolate, they don't go together. What are you talking about? So John brought these chocolates in one day at one of our meetings, and I tasted them and I was like blown away because they're really good. So he had this idea, and we're doing it, and I'm glad you guys were able to get that these packs and brought them in. So hopefully you've been able to pour the Chardonnay and get that in your glass, the 2020 Estate Chardonnay, which is our first Chardonnay that we've ever made, off of our brand new block that was planted on the new land that we purchased a number of years ago. And I wanted to make a Chardonnay that was very much hopefully hearkening old world style, keeping some oak on the wine and fermenting, certainly surly aged in oak. But not super oaky, so we use large barrels to ferment it in, and this did have about 20% was fermented in stainless steel. So that's kind of how we got this wine. This is all off of our estate vineyard, and it was the first harvest, so it's pretty exciting. The pairing that we have is this little yellow guy. What's that?
People should break them in pieces.
Break them in pieces is what Jacques tells me, so as opposed to eating them directly. So this is the Meyer lemon white chocolate. So the reason we wanted to pick these two together is obviously the lemoniness and that lemon aspect that's in the Chardonnay. And I'm taking just a little bit and then letting the chocolate kind of melt in my mouth first, and then a sip of the wine to go with it. That white chocolate creaminess and that lemoniness of the Chardonnay, the little bit of that creaminess that comes from the barrel piece of the Chardonnay, I really see those mixing together well and highlighting the Chardonnay. So far, so good, right, Jack? What do you think?
I love it. And you know, I'm not too big on super chill
Yeah.
wine, but I think with the chocolate and the Chardonnay, it's kind of nice to have it. No, I'm getting over there. It's okay. Kind of nice.
Yeah. So can you guys hear Jacques? Probably not. That was a big no. So what Jacques was saying, I'll paraphrase for him, was that we typically like our white wines when they're a little warmer. We actually just pulled this out of the refrigerator. It was a little colder than I typically like, and but that chill and the acidity that I think it brings out, it always gives more of a feel of a higher acid, in my opinion, when they're colder, because the fruit gets a little bit dampened down. That actually really goes well with the white chocolate, I think, piece of it particularly. Yep, that richness of that white chocolate. That's what I always get from white chocolate. That's one reason I'm not a big white chocolate fan, because it is super rich and that kind of, cream only kind of aspect of it. But I do think that acidity of that goes really well with that piece of it. So yeah, we're really excited about our Chardonnay. It's kind of fun to be able to make that for the first time. We got the 21 in barrel right now, and that's cruising right along. We're pretty excited about that vintage too. Yeah. So any comments, any thoughts on that, guys? Anybody want to chime in on what they thought? Come on, Mark. I've never heard you not talk. Now I can't hear you talk because you're muted.
Yeah.
We had him muted.
Jana muted me.
I bet you wish you could have that in like real time, right, Jana?
Exactly.
She always wanted a remote control for me. So yeah, exactly. No, that was fantastic.
That
I
was
love
good.
there was a nice kind of marriage to that. It was how much malolactic did you get in that? Like just the beginning phase?
Yeah, so I'd say, I haven't really measured it like, oh, it's 53% malolactic fermentation, but we did stop it. So we keep it very cold. We ferment it in the barrel room, so it stays, in the 50s to maybe low 60s, which is not a very good place for malolactic to occur. And then we did stop it before it was through, because that's really what kind of holds. I do get a little bit of that green appleiness kind of characteristic in this wine too, which is that malic acid that you're tasting. Malic acid is apple's acid, and that's definitely what I'm feeling. So about stopped probably about halfway through ML would be my guess. But
Yep.
as I do on a lot of things, I don't measure it. I taste
Right.
it and stop it when I think it's right.
Well, I'll tell you what, your gut seems to almost always be right. So yeah.
Oh, I got plenty of that gut too, so it's all good.
You and me both are in the land of barbecue now. So yeah.
Right, you got that right. So great. Well, I think we'll move on to the stars of the show, right? The Pinot Noirs. Oh, I did want to show you one thing that was cool. Is Creo gave us a chocolate pod. So you can see this is actually a pod that would be on the cocoa tree, whatever they call
It
it.
looks like a cacao.
Yeah, and then that's cut away, so you can see the beans inside of the chocolate plant of the cacao plant.
Is that Costa Rican cacao?
I believe this is actually Ecuadorian.
Okay.
And I think what they do is in Costa Rica once I actually went to a cocoa place. I think they ferment these beans is how they do it, and then they roast them, and that's how they they develop that.
Love cacao.
Oh, gosh. Costa Rican cacao.
So hopefully you guys have.
That's funny.
Me too.
That's
mine,
funny.
man.
Maybe that's something I could-
Let's see.
So now you guys get your 2018 Heritage Estate Pinot Noir,
What do we have here?
which we know which we know, following good Jacques protocol, you opened it at least an hour ago.
We did.
And breathing really well.
First bottle anyway.
Jacques, you taught me
So-
well.
Oh, that smells nice. Right? Yeah.
I want to introduce you guys to the rest of the folks here too. So this is Joanne Kramer Brown. Take your mask off so they can see it.
Is that Joanne?
Yep.
Hi,
This
Joanne.
So Joanne is our new club manager who's taken over after Jacques. So you guys have all been in touch with her, I'm sure. And you will be again soon.
Yes,
Club is coming again.
Put some chocolate with that.
Me and
We'll be, I
I
think starting next month, we're going to be bottling our Pinot Gris and Rosé and have it ready to go.
Yes. Well, nice to meet you, everybody. I'm gonna just get some rain.
Okay. Okay. So 2018, really nice, really warm, really ripe. And so the Heritage, as you guys I'm sure know, is a blend of our 4 older blocks, the Rennells, Abbeys, Tallulahs, and Sarah Janes. And the idea of this is we taste through the barrels, we find the ones that we think really represent Coeur d'Terre and speak to our place and speak to that year. And then we do a blend of it, and inevitably that blend's not what we want. And then we continue to iterate through until we get to a point where we think it hits the mark of speaking about our older blocks, speaking about Coeur d'Terre. What is the wine that comes off of here? The thing we always say is Coeur d'Terre is about a time and a place. It's about the wines that come off of this place right back here that you see behind me. And my job is to not get in the way of that and to let that transport into the bottle. So that's what we try to do. Typically we'll bring these in. I think I'm trying to remember in the 18 when we harvested, it was fairly early. Mid-September is when we started harvest, and pretty quick harvest. Again, very ripe, very clean fruit, easy vintage with super ripe Pinot Noir, which I'm sure we're going to get on this. So I haven't had this wine in probably 2 months, so it's been a little bit of time. So it's kind of interesting. It's the first time you've had this?
I think so, yeah.
Jacques says it's the first time he's had this wine. I'm calling BS on that.
You don't like it.
I know you were here when we blended it, so. So it's beautiful. It's got that dark kind of raspberry, little bit these kind of tannins that are signature of Coeur de Terre, right? That earth and that tannin grip, which I like, which means this 18 is going to last. It's got acidity and brightness in that dark fruit.
Get over here.
So I know I'm being Captain Obvious.
I have to admit, we did just open this bottle, which Jacques was frowning at me. Very disappointed because I forgot to open it. And I can tell that it will definitely, the fruit's going to come out in another little bit. It's going to really show more fruit as we do that.
By the fourth bite of chocolate, the wine would be perfect.
Fourth bite of chocolate, Jacques says. Okay, so guys, this is the dark raspberry truffle. So this is again, it's also the single sourced Creole is all this. In fact, here's, I don't know if you've got this, the package that it comes in is pretty cool because it talks about the family. It talks about the places that they team up with and partner with, and they have these long-term relationships with growers. And look at that, lo and behold, it says our cacao farmers in Ecuador. So I'm going to try to take a bite of this raspberry stuff.
Fantabulous.
That is excellent.
Yes.
We opened ours up not quite, maybe close to 2 hours ago, and man, it's showing beautifully.
That's awesome. So same thing, I'm letting that chocolate kind of, well, the initial thing I got on the chocolate that reminds me of this wine is that little bit of bitterness in that chocolate. That darkness of it gives you that kind of tannin-y kind of feel as well, which I think really matches well. And what I like about this truffle is when I say raspberry, so many times I have these, scented or these chocolates that have fruit, and that's, you get so much fruit that it's almost overwhelming. What I love about this is I get this chocolate right away, right? That darkness, but then the raspberry kind of knits in, right? And that's a little bit like what I like, where I can equate it to wine. Was it that same kind of feel?
True. But that dark chocolate is not as bitter as it looks, but with that little raspberry that comes in at the end, it's really like a really soft, dark chocolate, right? It's not as stark as like dry chocolate. You got some chocolate, it's like 99% cacao. It's like really bitter, right? Like no sugar in it. This is just right. Texture is phenomenal. And then as the wine comes in behind it, it's beautiful. I mean, it's just paired.
That is cool. I totally agree. Like Lisa, my wife, likes really dark chocolate.
Yeah.
And I'll taste it and I'll be like, why?
Yeah, me too.
But this is not that, though. This is not that.
No, this is not that.
Yeah.
I think the outside has a little bit more of that darkness than the middle. And that middle is definitely what softens that to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just try a little bit of that, the hard part.
The hard part will have more of the tannin.
The hard part definitely has more of that bitterness.
Yeah, because I'm one of those guys that will eat that 99% cacao, dark, bitter chocolate. But this is like beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the raspberry, just how it follows right after.
I think the raspberry also gives you a nice blend
Yeah.
with
Right?
Yeah.
It's almost like fudge.
Mhm.
It's almost like really soft.
And then
I could eat that all day, man.
yeah.
I can drink that all day.
Well, let's do it.
Let's do these weekly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Food and wine pairing, they have to prop you up, so just keep drinking, keep going.
So the 18 was recently released. So this is the only one of these wines that are of the current release, which is kind of fun, that we're actually going to be getting into some of these older ones, which is going to be really interesting. So what else should I say about this wine? This is the wine that we really again, really wanted to show about what we are and be representative of as good as we can do. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Okay. Any other comments on the first dark chocolate? All right, let's pull out our 2011 Rennell's block. Oh, it's going to get exciting now. That's going to be the last one to pick up.
This is my favorite. Like, this is Rennell's block. Oh, I don't think I'm muted. Sorry, Scott.
That's okay. You were saying nice stuff, so at least.
Yeah. No, Rennell's 11 is phenomenal.
Okay, so
A wet year.
Wet year.
Yeah, he'll talk about it.
Oh.
Who's ready?
So the Oregon grapes like west.
What's your
That's
okay, so let's get some 2011 in the glass.
That's good.
I'm going to first just smell this.
Yeah, color change.
Yeah, so you're seeing right away, you look at it and you see a little bit of that kind of brickiness to it. So what happens is as wines interact with air, they the anthocyanin, which is the color piece of wine, oxidizes, and does exactly what happens to iron when it oxidizes. It gets that kind of rusty color. It gets that brownness to it. So the way you can really tell is to look at kind of the edge of it, kind of hold it a little bit sideways, and you can see right on the edge meniscus is where you can really see the color and that little bit of brickiness. So 2011 was that vintage that was a little. Hey, Jacques, can you turn the volume down because I'm getting a feedback from Jacques and I'm hearing myself talk and I don't think I like it. So, so hold on. Okay, it's okay, Jacques. So there he goes. Jacques walking. He goes. So so anyway, so 2011 was an interesting year that it really was not a cold vintage. So a lot of people think of 2010 and 2011 as both cold vintages, but 2011 was a little bit wetter than it was cold. But it was not really a summer. Well, you know what? I'm actually confusing that with 2015. I'm going to take that back. 2011 was the cold summer. Summer never got to 90 degrees. I don't know if you guys, if you're here in Oregon, 2011 was that year that, last year we were getting these super hot temperatures. And I remember in that year, we never got into the 90s, not once in the summer. So that was the last vintage where everyone was really worried, like, wow, what's happened? And are we actually going to ripen this wine this year? So September's coming along. We had a really nice August, but not hot again. So we're like, man, we better be able to get this wine to hold on the vines for a while. So we let it go. And 2011, we were blessed with a very nice September and early October. And we picked this wine, I believe it was October 13th is when we picked this. So very, very late harvest for us. So clearly a month later than what we did, or at least 3 weeks later than how we picked 2018. So 2011 was this very cold vintage. What's interesting about cold vintages, especially in Oregon or especially at the Court of Terre, and the way we make our wines, the cooler the vintage, the longer it takes to come around and bottle. When we bottle those wines, because we don't do a lot of racking, we don't do a lot of manipulation, we try to kind of let the wines be what they're going to be. It does, when we first bottled 2011, I'll never forget, we were tasting it and they were very, very tight, like hardly any nose on them at all, because they were just so locked up so tight. And then we actually decided to hold quite a bit back because we knew someday that would, based on our kind of history with like 2005 was kind of a similar vintage, that they really bloomed at one point. So that's what we did. And now we've held on to this Rennell's block and we're it now. So Rennell's block is our oldest block. It was planted in the spring of '99 by Lisa and I, and with the help of the Schulls from Raptor Ridge. We planted that block to 8 different clones of Pinot Noir. It's on this very clay-based soil, gets very wet and slippery in the spring. Like right now, it's not as slippery as it usually is because we haven't had a lot of rain lately. But it becomes very slippery in the spring when it rains. And then in the fall, as it dries up, the clay in the soil really contracts, and you start seeing these cracks, these fissures in the soil. So this very kind of dynamic soil. And it has always created our wines that are I guess most muscular, and they always have this kind of largesse about them. In general, I say Court of Terre, we tend to have pretty big Pinot Noirs, but Rennells would be I guess the top of that heap as far as depth.
The one which always has that longest it carries through amazing through the ages. It's aging.
I think Jacques was probably muted on that one too, but
I'm wondering.
what he said was it's the one that really ages and really expands over time and really shows itself over time. So what was put together with this was the hazelnut crunch, the dark chocolate with hazelnut inside. I think the idea of that, so haven't tasted the chocolate yet, but what I'm thinking is I get a little bit of from this, certainly the aging piece of it, I get a little bit of that nuttiness in this wine. And that is an aspect of as a wine, as a Pinot Noir kind of develops and goes through the time frame, that it ages and starts to show itself a little bit more of those nutty characteristics. So I'm going to try the chocolate and see how that makes, if that makes sense.
So much fun.
I'll tell you what, Scott, that
Yeah.
the toffee in that locks in
Mm.
with the structure of that wine, like Paul locked in with Ringo. It's solid, really solid.
I'm going to go with John and Ringo, but that's okay. Oh man. So again, the same thing with these chocolates. Like first you get that hit of that crunch from the outside, then you do get that toffee, that rich kind of, butter toffee kind of thing, and then the hazelnut, just like right now, it's still there, right? I love that about a good wine. Apparently a good chocolate. It persists on your palate.
72 degrees.
Yeah.
And elevated.
So where I really like this wine with this chocolate is not right away, not with that buttery piece of it, but I like it after I've had the chocolate sit in my mouth for about 30 seconds. And then it gets that real nutty hazelnut piece. And then that's where I think it really shines with the wine. So I just haven't been having the right chocolate, I think, right?
John, you should come.
Yeah, I tried it with the nut alone, and it didn't work.
Oh,
You had
interesting.
to have the chocolate.
A little bit of that kind of creamy. Come here, John. Here's the dude who came up with this whole idea. This is John Cabe. For anyone who has been here or hasn't in the last, how long you been here? 6 months?
6 months.
6 months. So John's been with us for 6 months. It's been great. He came via Montana. Yeah, and was his first job in a winery, and he's been doing great. So
Hi,
we're
John.
very excited to have him. So if you see John, this is him. You want to say anything about the chocolates? Anything?
I hope you're enjoying it all. That's, I guess, the root of it all. Have fun with it. Enjoy it.
Delicious. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Learn
that
something along
crunchy
the way.
texture
Yeah.
of the chocolate. Man, good.
Yeah. No, this is cool. We just had the hazelnut with the Rennells, and it's awesome.
I love that
Yeah.
crunch in it.
Yeah, it's really cool. All right.
From the
Good to see everyone.
Has been your favorite.
The
The
hazelnut?
Rennell and the
Like the raspberry one.
oh,
That tart raspberry in there just jumps out of it. Doesn't taste like a candy raspberry.
it's true.
I'm gonna try the nut like you said.
You'll
It's
see.
okay.
You'll see.
It's great. Scott.
Thank you. I ran out of wine. Hold on. Got a minor emergency happening. You're right. It's like bitter when it's just the nut.
I think the chocolate bring a little bit of warmth to it brings all of these undertones that the Rennell has, the coolness.
A little bit of saltiness too goes well.
Yeah.
I think with the wine, which is
Yeah, it is
kind of
Yeah, the
interesting.
saltiness really helps
Yeah.
with it. I like that.
That's very interesting. All right. Any thoughts? Any comments? Any?
You know, Henry's a big Reynolds fan.
Jacques tells me you're a big Rennell's fan. Got a big table there. Well, I'm glad you are. I appreciate that.
Mike wants to say something.
No.
Nothing to say.
We've made a lot of Renault fans here today.
Sure did.
We're blown away, man.
Right on. So I am starting to pour the Sarah Jane's block. So this is cool. One thing I love to do is, we love to compare the blocks and talk about how Pinot Noir is about a time and a place, and that wines are different based on where they're grown. Rennell's block and Sarah Jane's block, which I think everyone's been here, are right across from each other. There's the pond that's at the top of Rennell's block and Sarah Jane's block, and that's kind of the gully that drains the pond is between the two. And that's what separates them. It's probably, I don't know, 30 yards. Certainly at the top, it's probably less than that. And that's what divides these two blocks, but very, very different soils. The elevation is identical. It goes from about 300 feet to 400 feet. Rennell's block is canted a little bit to the east. Sarah Jane's block is canted a little bit to the west, but they're both mostly south facing. Sarah Jane's block is sedimentary soil, not clay based at all. Definitely more of kind of a Willackenzie traditional sedimentary soil. So what it means was this soil was under the water, under the ocean before this part of Oregon got pushed up out of the ocean. And this is what's uplifted off from the base of the ocean, and now it's the soils of Oregon. And that's what this is. So what I always think about Sarah Jane's block is I always think of blackberries as picking blackberries, and because it always has that blackberry tone. My suspicion, again, I haven't had this wine in a little while. My suspicion is that won't be there as much on this wine because of the age, and we'll start getting a little more of these tertiary tones to it. But it should be very interesting. So one of the great pairings of Pinot Noir is mushrooms, in my opinion. So it'll be very interesting to try the candy cap mushroom truffle, which has a dusting of actual mushroom on it. And so I'm going to see how these two go together.
The nose is thrown on the two.
Yeah. Excuse me. Definitely a different nose that you're presented with right away. Sarah Jane's is not as big of a wine as the Rennell's block. I'm not getting the blackberry as much as I suspected I wouldn't.
But
but I'm getting a bit of a mushroomy kind of truffly kind of aspect to it.
yeah, but did you harvest the Sarah Jane before Reynolds block or about the same?
About the
time?
same. Yeah, Jacques was asking about harvest, and we picked them all about the same time because at that year's harvest, we went as long as we possibly could. So it was a very compressed harvest where we waited until the end and everything came in at once.
There's more tan, and all that maybe the West influence. It has a little bit more tannin than the Reynolds block, which surprised me.
Wow.
Really picks up that mushroom flavor though.
Definitely the interesting thing about this is, I don't know if anyone else gets this, but I got this the first time I tried this was, it tastes like it has maple in it to me. I've been assured this has no maple, and that taste that you're tasting is the mushroom. So I've never had a candy cap mushroom before on its own, but apparently that maple tone is from the mushroom, which is just shocking to me. I want to have that like in my pancakes, maybe.
I was wondering that same thing. So yeah, it surely tasted maple to me.
Candy cap.
They have them?
Dried, yes, and dried candy cap.
Carolyn just said they have them at Ross. I'm gonna try it. I don't know if I'll be so brave as to put it in my pancakes. But
Sure.
I might think of something like a pork thing, right? Something that would benefit, that would like a bit of a sweetness to it as well. I could see that happening.
And we have the moon. Just
I am.
Moonrise.
The moon has come up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So the moon is just rising up over the hill, which is kind of neat. You wouldn't be able to see it on the video, I'm sure, but 11s are still got life though, man. They still have brightness to them. It's pretty exciting. I still say that's got maple in it.
And it does overpower the wine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So this is a subtle.
Sweetness, I think the sweetness of it.
Yeah,
Brings it, it's not to bring some additional dimension to. I mean, it's interesting in these two that play, and it brings some quality that Sarah Jane on usually. So
It looks like the sweetness still stays in the palate, which is a little bit too strong.
so I just went backwards and had the hazelnut with the Sarah Janes, and I don't like it as nearly as much as the mushroom. But I had the mushroom with the Rennell's block too, and I liked that.
oh, that's interesting. Oh, you cheated.
I did cheat. I had the mushroom. I skipped ahead on the last one. I had some of the mushroom, but I do like the mushroom still with the Rennell's block, which I think is kind of interesting.
Earth, yeah. It's interesting because for me, the Rennell's Plus surprised me because it's leaner
Mhm.
than Sarah Jane.
Right. So the Jacques was saying that he feels kind of a lightness and a leanness of the Rennell's block, and that gives me an opportunity to try some more.
I mean,
You want to dump in mine? Or dump that in
I get a little
the
more
wine?
kind of licoricey tones though in the Rennell's, if you
You'd be
taste it.
interested to
yeah,
go back
yeah,
to
no,
it.
it's
Yeah, if you smell the nose, that's to me, it's got that kind of yeah, licorice.
it's very, it's always blown me away how the two of them can be so
I mean, it's crazy.
good and so different.
It's the exact same varietal, exact same clones basically. Sarah Jane's is a Massal selection of Rennell's block spines, so it's the same vines, the same that are 30 yards away, just in the same aspect, but just different soil is what you're tasting, and just blows me away how that comes through in the wine every year. Pretty wild. So I like Rennell's better.
Gerlin is right. It's on the finish. The last note, the Rennell on the mushroom.
Yeah.
Just
It cleanses.
can,
It cleanses
know,
the palate, which is kind of what you want.
Mm-hmm. So again, I encourage you guys to go back and forth. Try the hazelnut with Rennell's, or vice versa. All right.
I have the raspberry, so I'm going to try it with.
And Jacques still has raspberry. He's conserved. We're gonna get a take on that. I have a bug on the light here. I'm trying to figure out what that is. I don't know. Doesn't look dangerous.
I prefer the mushroom with the Sargent than the raspberry.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, so the last wine we got is our 2010 Tallulah's Run. Tallulah's Run in 2010. 2010 was a great vintage. 2010 was a warm but not overly warm summer. It was a long, beautiful September, and it was one of my favorite vintages of all time in Oregon, for sure. And it created these wines with life, with depth, and again, was one of those kind of magic vintages that we tend to get. It wasn't overly ripe. That's, we can get some warm years where they're good right away, but they don't have the life to go for a long time. 2010 was not that. So This is going to be an interesting one because it's with a white chocolate, which by the way is it's really beautiful how they do that, right? With the white chocolate, kind of a pretty package. This is the one that has me curious, right? Passion fruit, spicy passion fruit truffle with white chocolate. And this is if somebody told me like this is going to be a great pairing, I'd say there's no way.
And
That-
you know what we tried first?
What's that?
We tried to pair it with John. We tried to pair it with a Riesling
Mm.
because we thought spice.
Right.
and
Yeah. So
it didn't work.
So Jacques was saying they originally tried this with the Riesling, thinking, well, that would make sense, right? Spicy, uh, white chocolate, creamy, and with that bright Riesling should be a good pairing. But they came down to, and by the way, so Jacques came out and worked with John to do this pairing too. So
It didn't work. I had fun.
yeah, it's it's tough work here, man. But
Dirty job.
yeah, it is a dirty job. It is a dirty job, but we're here. We're givers. That's what we do here. We give and do.
Somebody's got
everything
to
we
do
can.
it.
Somebody's got to do it, and we're the guys. So so I actually wasn't here when they did the pairing. So this is actually my first time when I've done the wines and the chocolates together. So it's actually kind of fun and kind of interesting for me to try this. So again, when I hear this, I'm like, let's see how this works. So I'm gonna give it a try. Let's do it.
But try the wine first.
I did.
Okay. I love that. That blew me away. The wine is so beautiful.
Wine is beautiful. Wow. That is not what I expected.
You get a kick.
So first and foremost, this wine is gorgeous, man. This is like, to me, this is what I always hoped for in our wines. Yeah, I like older wines. You know, we came to this. The reason I like this is why we came to Oregon was somebody poured me an old Burgundy back in the day before we moved to Oregon, and I always say like ruined the rest of my life because I wanted to pursue that great Pinot Noir with age, and that's why we moved to Oregon to grow grapes and try to capture that spirit. And this kind of makes me feel good about that.
This is my first one where I'll eat them separate.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, doesn't work.
Carolyn gave the big thumbs down. She doesn't like the pairing. Likes them both on their own.
Yes. they're-
Hey Scott, this is pretty spicy chocolate, man.
Oh, we're off mute.
Like, yes.
Says the Costa Rican.
Just the Costa Rican, yeah.
Good.
That spice is crazy, man.
That
So-
is good.
It's
Yeah.
really good.
Sneaks up on you, but it's very good.
So what I like about that is the spice makes that white chocolate creaminess go away, right? It like hits you with that zing, and you're that white chocolate's just kind of there in the background, but it's not the star of that show at all. And then I was thinking passion fruit, it's going to be that super tangy, bright, and this would not go with a Riesling because it's not that super tangy bright. It doesn't have what I think of passion fruit. I always think of that big zing, but it's just got that little bit of that touch in the background. I'm actually okay with the pairing.
Good.
Yeah.
To me, we tried all. Actually, what I would
Separately.
encourage is everyone. That's what I was saying. Keep some, because I mean, I agree with you. Pinot Noir is incredibly hard to pair with chocolate,
Yes.
in my view. And I always thought about the Chardonnay.
Yeah, I'm trying to
or the
Chardonnay.
Riesling. And for me, it brought in all of the other wine, which would be my best suspect. They brought a little bit a clash, or like they brought some more high note on the wine.
Mm.
And I felt like with that works better.
I'm separating them, and for me, it's actually the passion fruit on its own works, and for me, the combination doesn't.
Mm.
But the passion fruit, yes. Which is it? Try it.
So
Too much spice for the Chardonnay.
What? Yeah.
Too much spice for the Chardonnay.
And but the Riesling was bringing the acidity. It was stripping the baby fruit.
I'm actually deconstructing this
Yeah.
Yeah,
passion fruit.
I'm only passion
to try to like taste the components now.
And that works. The passion fruit to me works for me.
So the white chocolate on its own goes well with the Chardonnay. So just that the outer part.
and which will make sense because you have that richness of
Mhm.
the sweet white chocolate.
But try the passion fruit. If you can dig it out, you got a little passion fruit. That's my favorite flavor. You knife and a fork. Dissect this.
We did it the first time.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the passion fruit's interesting on its own.
You couldn't figure it out.
We can barely understand what
Hey,
it's
Jacques, did you like passion fruit?
And,
Hold on.
Tallulas run. That was the last, and you remember like
I really like the passion.
They're over talk. Do you like passion fruit on its own, like the fruit itself?
He hasn't had
not
it
a
much.
I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of passion fruit in general.
He's not-
He said no.
Okay.
He has
I
a high
like the chocolate. It's kind of hard to hear him and Carolyn, but do you like the chocolate?
like pumpkin.
He likes the chocolate. He doesn't really. He doesn't eat much passion fruit,
But I'm
He's not
passionate
passionate.
about it.
but he's passionately not passionate about passion fruit.
French, you should be passionate.
So,
But I like the taste. Actually, I would.
Okay, I'm gonna hear a vote. Who likes that last pairing? Show of hands. Okay, we got Texans are in. We got to split him. We got to split with Michael. We got a big shake and shed. No, we got one up, one down.
Michael, what?
And I can't see the little Antilac.
I agree with Jock, whatever he says.
I have a question. I have a question.
That's typically my philosophy as well.
Down.
Oh, now he's down. He was up before. Oh, hey. It's like a Frenchman, man. Can't figure him out.
I have faith in Michael. There's never a bad Tally's vintage ever.
Amen.
I kind of agree with that.
No, it's not in.
Yep.
Tallulah's is a special wine. So Tallulah's, I always think of bright, fresh, red fruits. I don't always think of Tallulah's as the wine that's going to be the best aging wine, always. But this is pretty good, man.
What's it named after?
Our youngest daughter is named Tallulah.
Oh, okay. I always think of Tallulah Bankhead.
Yeah. So Tallulah is a Native American name meaning jumping waters. And I'll never forget when Tally was born, my wife said, we're going to name her Tallulah. And I'm like, what the hell's a Tallulah? And I was like, what kind of hippie name is that? And it just, she is Tallulah, man. That name fits her so well. I've maybe figured out that I shouldn't question Lisa. she's right, so, but I still do.
She's your wife. She's correct. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm gonna be right. But, I'm never right. So someone wanted to plant Syrah. I didn't want to plant Syrah. She was right once again. But yeah, so that's where the name came from, and because we have Lisa's family's got some Native American background, and so was the inspiration of it, and it just fits her very well. She's
Fantastic.
aged actually really, really well as well, I'd say too. So
And she's only 13, Tallulah.
14. Yep, Tally's 14.
Oh, Tally's.
Yep,
Wow.
yep. So it's pretty amazing. Tally, she's like really growing up on us. Pretty amazing. So yeah. Well, that's what we got, man. That's the wines for today.
was it a shock that the Texans like the spicy?
What's that?
Was it a shock that the Texans like the spicy?
Yeah, right. Texans like it spicy. Yeah, these guys aren't really Texans though.
Yeah, we're all from California. It's all California.
We may be in Texas, but we all started.
You're in Oregon longer than you're in Texas.
Yeah.
They all started in California, came to Oregon.
But I have
Now they're in
Bakersfield,
Tejas.
so I got 30 years in Bakersfield, so I got some leeway.
Some lingo.
Well, that's more Oklahoma, but we're not gonna get too technical.
It's kind of North Texas. We're thinking about annexing it.
Yes. It used to be part of Texas.
So you can have it.
You can have it.
Hey, Scott. Guess who we're
Yeah.
gonna see on Monday? Del
Who
Watson
are you gonna see? Oh, you're gonna see Dale. Where are you gonna see him?
at
At
Green
Green
Hall.
Nice. Well, tell him hi for me.
I will.
5 minutes from our house. Love it.
That's really Dale's also. They're talking about seeing a guy who's good friend and awesome musician. Guys, have your Merle Haggard request. He'll ask for a Merle Haggard request
Well, yeah,
in the show.
sure.
So be ready for it. He's awesome. If you guys ever get a chance to hear him, he's really good.
Yeah, we're excited.
We'd see him tonight, but Leanne Rhymes is there.
Oh God,
Rhymes in green.
stay away from that one. Dale will be much better. I guarantee it.
We will be, yeah.
That's commercialism.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all right. We'll have fun with that.
Yeah, we will.
Well, I appreciate everyone. Anyone have any thoughts? Any other questions? We have a little bit more of this of the 2010 available. I know that some of these wines we held back. So if you guys are interested in any more, we have some here. So
That's good. We need to do another one of these.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
to order one.
Yeah.
Why?
Getting more.
Are you putting in your order?
well, I guess I want to say, guys, I really appreciate all the support for sure as always. Thank you. Thanks for supporting and come out and see us. You know, we're gonna have a great summer this year. I think they're gonna lift the mask mandate finally. So hopefully we'll have a free summer.
No.
Jacques, why don't you give us some wisdom to take us out.
Now my favorite is still the 2010 Tallulah. This is beautiful.
He's in love.
I'm in love. And it's Valentine's Day.
Just in time for
So,
Valentine's Day.
Doesn't matter the chocolate. I'm like Scott. Chocolate comes second to wine. But I love chocolate. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But that Tallulah on its own, I can have a date anytime. And so it's beautiful. And it's fun to try. And I think
It brings out different
I
aspects.
still like Carolyn for not liking the pairing.
Oh, I didn't say anything about the wine now.
But she liked the wine, so we are in good.
The passion fruit worked.
Yeah, we are good.
We're good.
And it's actually fun to see some of old faces, to see some names I can recognize, and to have the whole everyone there on the. It's always fun, and it's always fun. And I appreciate Scott to invite me, to include me in these when I'm there, and it's kind of fun. And I wish you were here because it's
gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. It's seeing the moon rise over the vineyard. Even though it's blue sky still,
We could see the moon.
you
clear as a
cannot.
bell.
And literally, I can see the vines, which are nicely. So the cane are not positioned there on the vineyard block, but I can still see it's blue sky behind, moon rising. I have chocolate and I have wine. I'm in love.
And you have me.
And I have Carolyn. Love everyone.
Oh, that's great.
Love you, Joe. That's awesome. Hey, Carolyn.
Again, we wish you guys were here. This is like the days we're dying for in February. It's pretty amazing. So
It looks
happy Valentine's
amazing.
Day.
Thank you.
Happy Valentine's
you.
Day, everyone.
All right, take
Bye,
care.
Jenna. Bye, Mark.
Bye,
Goodbye,
guys.
Thank you so much.
Take
And we
care,
got to
Jacques
see
and Caroline.
Cece.
Yeah, she's here.
We seen her for a second.
For a minute.
Thanks for letting us see Mark and Jana.
All right, guys, take care.
We'll see you
Take
later.
care, Scott.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Here's the nose. Yeah. Come on, Cece. Yeah. there's still you want me to close everything, Scott?
Oh yeah, right. You're still on because you're still.
Yeah. I am still you there.